the offensive coordinator of Utah State Aggie football, an offense that lit up the scoreboard last year and looks to do the same this year. And the offensive coordinator, Coach Anthony Tucker, joins us here on the Full Court Press on 106.9 The Fan. Coach, hi, how are you?
Hi, Coach.
I'm doing great, man. Just finished the quarterback meeting, getting ready for practice tomorrow. I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
We're good.
We're good.
We're doing well. Hey, Coach, let's start there. Your quarterback, you got Logan Bonner coming back this year. Obviously, he's out right now during spring ball. And then you got Cooper Legas, Levi Williams. His quarterback room is incredibly talented. What have you learned of these guys, the backup quarterback, I guess, situation, Cooper and Levi so far? What have you learned of them early here in the get-going?
I think, man, really just how capable they both are. Obviously, we know what we have in Logan, and he's doing really well. But Cooper Legas, you're talking about night and day and leaps and bounds in his development just over the last year. I've been really, really proud of him and the work that he's put in here over the last year. And I think, just the opportunity and really, by default, the opportunity for him to come in late in the season and, obviously a big game for our program and to come in and play the way that he has really kind of propelled him into this off season. And he, I have all the confidence in the world in him. Levi, obviously a very talented addition to our room that, has come in and learned what we're doing. But, just from we're getting ready to go on practice 9 tomorrow, from practice 1 to practice 9, he's been awesome. So, I feel really comfortable with, last year we played with 3 quarterbacks, and all 3 had to win games for us. And I feel like we're in a position where we got 3 guys, and obviously we got Logan, who's a senior. We got 3 guys that are very, very capable to run this offense.
Coach, regarding Levi, from the outside perspective, he looks like he's a very similar style of quarterback to Andrew Peasley, who you had in your system last year. How similar is he to Peasley, and how different is he from how he played?
I love Andrew and I love Peace. We didn't want him to leave, but we feel really fortunate that Levi, wanted to come and be here and be a part of our program. But I guess the similarities would be, athletically, they both have really good legs. In the meeting rooms, they're both very, highly intelligent, smart guys. Both guys. Levi fit right into our culture, personality-wise with who we are and how he's kind of assimilated into our team. So in that respect, just the athleticism, I think you can compare the two. The thing about Levi's 6'5", 230, and has an enormous arm. And so there's some things that he can do, as far as just arm strength. Logan's got a big arm too, but Levi's arm is ridiculous. Just how strong he is. He's a big body guy, and you don't necessarily get the type of arm strength that Levi has from a big body guy, but he has that a little bit of an ace in the hole. Man, he can make every single throw on the field. The biggest thing with him is just kind of learning how we do things. Learning the details of what we teach in the quarterback room, because systematically it's very different than where he came from, and that's the reason why he wanted to come be a part of what we're doing. He wanted to, he was interested in changing the way he was being developed. No disrespect to what they're doing at Wyoming, because they do a great job, but our system is different offensively. So just those things, but he's really, really athletic, very, very smart. He's got an enormous arm. And he's still young. He's got 3 years of eligibility, so I think he has a really high ceiling. And like I said, all 3 of those guys, I wouldn't have, come September, if any of those 3 guys has to play at any point during the season, I feel like we're in good shape.
Hey, Coach, God willing, Logan Bonner stays healthy throughout the season, is able to play throughout the whole entire season, I should say. When do you make a decision on who will back up Logan Bonner?
I think, we have time till fall camp. We go through spring ball. They get through the summer workouts and all the work and things that they put in. And then really the competition really continues. That the next part of the competition is fall camp. And then when you start getting close, to game plan, usually a week or, a couple weeks before, you go into your first game and you kind of have an idea of where you are. And then, then you have to, plan your practice around that, the rep count, those types of things. But there's still plenty of time. Competition never stops. And, you gotta, once you're the guy, whether you're the first guy, the second guy, or the third guy, you have to continue to show up and compete every day. So, there's really nothing annoying for anyone. You gotta come in, and especially at the quarterback position, there's a consistency and a standard and development that demanding development that has to be there and has to be there every day. And that was, to me, why I'm so proud of the room last year, is because there was a first guy, a second guy, and a third guy, but they all prepared themselves every day and every week and every day of practice to be the guy. And so that's why we were able to sustain some, injuries and times where guys couldn't play and stuff like that. And those guys stepped in and did a really good job.
Again, we're talking to offensive coordinator Anthony Tucker for Utah State football. Certainly, the success of the quarterback is greatly determined by who's in front of him, what kind of protections that they can, achieve. What is that offensive line looking like so far with some of the new guys that are there, and just the development of guys that are coming back?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I feel better at this point this year than we did last year. I think, a year in the program. I mean, we're not, obviously we're teaching every day, but obviously we got 4 of the 5 starters back, and we got 5 or 6 guys that have started games that are back. So obviously that's a good thing. And we're not changing the system. We're building upon from last year. So you have guys who are, some familiarity, and guys who, played in 14 games last year, and a lot of them back. That's always a good thing. And then the guys who that are starting to emerge that maybe didn't contribute as much last year, now they're starting to take the forward steps that we need. So you feel better about what you have in that room, and then some young additions that we feel really fortunate to have. I feel really good about those guys.
Coach, what does the running back chart look like right now?
And we still got Dalvin Tyler back. John Gentry, you got Lake back as well, Makakona, and Cooper Jones. So, we have a bunch of experience back. Obviously with this day and age in college football, I think at every position, just like we did in the quarterback room, just like we did in the receiver room, you're always looking to see if maybe there's an addition, sometime in this calendar before the season starts, where maybe you add some depth or you add a difference maker to any spot on the offense. But I feel good about what we have coming back in that room. Obviously, Calvin had a great season last year, and John had some moments, and Lockie had some moments as well. So I feel good about where we are there right now.
Coach, last year your offense produced 3 wide receivers who scored 10 touchdowns or more. That's unheard of. It doesn't happen very often. But those 3 guys are all gone. You've got an interesting mix of players coming back who we're excited to see them take their next steps in this offense, but also some really exciting transfers who we're hearing some really good things about. How would you assess that wide receiver room and how that wide receiver core is developing for you so far?
I feel good about the room. I feel good about the guys who are coming back, who have a year of experience in our program. Obviously losing 3 of the best guys in the conference, and production and everything that they had. That you have to have an answer for that, and you have to address it immediately. And I feel like we did a really good job of that, and we've got we brought in some guys here that have made an immediate impact into that room. And so I feel really good where we are. We're kind of in the same place last year. We brought 3 guys in this year. We're in the same place last year, and we come in and we're installing an offense to 3 guys that never run the offense before. Nobody knew who Derek Wright was until about third or fourth game of the season. So the development and the detail of what we're doing, man, it's an ongoing thing. It takes a little while in our offense to really kind of figure it out at that position. Our receiver coach, Kyle Cefalo, does a great job of teaching. And this is, again, last year at this time, everybody Coach Cefalo was learning a new offensive scheme, new offensive system. So now he's got a year under his belt, and so his teaching takes another step. He was he did a great job everywhere that he's been. And so, I have all the faith in the world that those guys will be exactly where we need them to be come kickoff in September and late August. But I will say this, that there's been a huge, over the last 8 practices, you can see those guys getting better and better and better every day. I feel really good about the guys we brought in. I feel really good about the guys that are going into their second year in this system.
Coach, your offensive line dealt with a lot of injury issues throughout last season, which was really unfortunate. They hung in there for the most part. What does your offensive line look like this year? Has there been some depth built into that so you guys have, in case you guys run into any troubles this year?
Well, I think that's always, anytime you go into a year, you want to have depth in your offensive line, and I'll bet you if you ask Coach Bonda, you want to have depth in your defensive line. That's where it starts. That's where it really starts and ends. And so I feel like we're, I don't want to talk about health too much because, and I'm not superstitious, but I don't want to start knocking on wood. We're in a good place right now. We're in a good place right now, health-wise. Again, I do think there's been some good depth that's being built in there. A lot of it has to do with experience. A lot of it has to do with younger guys that are, again, going into the second year of this, the same program, same coaching staff, same offensive scheme. You hope to make a jump in that second year, and I feel like we can.
Coach, one position group we haven't asked you about yet is the tight ends. How do you foresee that position used in this offense? You talked about rolling out more details and new wrinkles in this offense as players learn more of it. How do you foresee that tight end spot being used in your offense this upcoming season? I understand some of that can also be based on what talent you have available, what your personnel situation is, but how do you see that position in your offense this year?
Honestly, I think it's probably, and people on the outside would know this, to me it's one of the most important positions on our offense. It allows us to, when you have a strong tight end room with everything that we do in the run game, everything that we ask those guys to do in protection, if you have a guy that you can spread out and you can throw him the football, all those things are really valuable. It forces you, and the other thing about the offense is, there's some guys who are going to have one skill set. There's going to be some guys who are going to have both skill sets. You have some guys that are really, really good as far as the heavy lifting, the run game, the protection, the banging. You have some guys who are really good in space, ball skills, athleticism, and if you have a guy that can do some of both, that makes it a lot harder on defenses because you don't have to change personnel to scheme certain things. You can kind of keep the same personnel on the field. So, but the good thing about the offense is we got enough that we can use anyone. Maybe one guy's a little bit, maybe a little bit deficient in one area. He can still play for us. Maybe a guy's, a little bit more efficient in another. He can play for us. Ideally, you want a guy who can do a little bit of both. But it's our job, and it's just like at every other position. You gotta. It's about players. It's not plays. It's our jobs to find out what guys can do well, help them develop in areas that they need help with, but also not putting them in positions that are not, not suited to their skill set. So that's a really, really tough position to recruit. It usually has to do with development. I feel like we do have some guys in there that are going, again, this is second year. I feel there's some guys in there that I feel really good about in their development that I think everybody else will like watching as well. But I've seen some progress in there, and there are some guys in there that maybe didn't hear from much last year because Carson was such a instrumental part of our offense and the veteran there. But there are some guys in there that I feel really good about.
Coach, you may have answered this already, and if so, then I greatly apologize. But with some additions to your offense and yet guys returning back, do you at all add anything into the offense that is different from last year that you feel like you guys can comprehend and use and understand?
Yeah, I think there are things that when you come out of a long season, you have some time to kind of reflect and, on what you did and where you started and then where you finished. And then there's some things that, for me, that I'd like to continue to build with what we're doing. Again, you have to have the right pieces there. But there are some things that I think that, we're going to be, foundationally the same. But there's always little, because if you look at us from game 1 and you look at us in game 14, there's a lot that went on with our offense and the things that we were able to get to. But the most important thing is when you come in, you have to build a foundation of what you're doing. And then sometimes your personnel will dictate how that foundation is built. But I think we're moving in the right direction. There are some things that we're going to play with and everything, but it has to be within the confines of what we can do, because we are a little bit different. I'd say we're a lot a bit different than what some other people do in the pictures and things that we present. But yeah, there's some things that, and I call it in our offensive staff room, when we get in the lab, and there's certain things that we want to lab a little bit during spring ball to play with, to see what we like, what we don't like, and to kind of, brainstorm on the things and how to make things better. Some of the things foundationally and some of the things that we want to build on.
Coach, we heard some interesting comments from Coach Bonda the other day when we spoke to him. Just your relationship with head coach Blake Anderson, things that he's gone through in his personal life for the last few years and certainly over the last few months. What's that been like for you to work with him and sometimes kind of carry the load a little bit while he's away dealing with some of the family tragedy that he's had to deal with?
Yeah, the thing about Coach Anderson is he's done he does a great job of building the infrastructure of the program, and so we have enough in the building where obviously he's gone through a tough time where he needs to step away, and it's as far as in the building, we're not going to miss a beat. Nobody wants to let Coach Anderson down, so that's something that's taken care of, and he doesn't have to worry about and didn't have to worry about. At the end of the day, we just wanted to make sure that we put our arms around him, and for whatever it is that he needed at that time, and whatever he needs, today and going forward, he's going to have those things from us, and that's based on how the people in the building. And there's a lot of long time relationships in this building, myself included, with him, and so a lot of this, and we can get caught up in this, man. But there's a lot of things that, and the way we run our program is it's bigger than football. What we're doing here, it is bigger than football. Obviously, we're here to win games and fairly and unfairly. That's how you're going to be judged. But at the end of the day, the relationship piece, and really, people talk about family, but it really is a family here. And so, but it's about those things first. But Coach Anderson is as strong a man that I've ever been around. And so, but we're here, and he knows that when he needs us.
Coach Tucker, offensive coordinator for Utah State Aggie football, joining us here on the Full Court Press. Coach, final question here. Look, with all your success from last year in the offense, the way it was ran, and the records you guys were able to set offensively was impressive. I'm sure you got some phone calls from other schools asking for your services over there. What kept you in Logan, if I could ask?
You know what, man? This is where I'm supposed to be right now. I love what we're doing here. I love what we're building here. I'm not the type of person that looks over the fence. I'm going to try to do as great a job as I possibly can and improve and where my feet are. I feel really fortunate to come to what we call work every day and be around some people that I truly love and love being around. And then we have a bunch of great young men that I have opportunity to coach every day and spend time with. So I'm really not the type of person to look over the fence, because I'm very happy where I am. So, it's always complimentary if people call you and inquire about your interests and things like that. But at the end of the day, I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. So, and there's nowhere else I really want to be. So,
Coach, nowhere else we'd rather have you be than be in Logan, Utah. So thanks for your time. Great for what you've done for Utah State Aggie football and for the university. Look forward to seeing you in Week 0 against UConn, and best wishes throughout camp.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it, you guys. You guys have a good one.
Thanks,
All right,
Coach.
thanks,
We'll be
Coach.
back on Saturday with the scrimmage.
Thank you.